Now my name is Nick, definitely. Yeah. Now 3 months ago, it feels like a lot longer, yeah. Tullie House said to me, "You run a speakeasy, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, but it's not the kind of thing where you knock on the door and like people doing the Charleston behind it." He said, "No, we're not bothered about that. You do poetry there, don't you?" I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "Well, would you like to do some poetry here as part of the Picture the Poet project?" I said, "Well, yeah. Only I don't know what that is." He said, all in good time, all in good time. We want you to do something on Burns Night." Okay. So it's Burns Night, but not Picture the Poet. He said, "Well, yes and no. It is on Burns Night. No, it is a Burns Night, but it won't be on Burns Night." It's going to be confused by that. Okay. "And we won't be celebrating Robert Burns." You know, I'm falling off the corners now, you know. What will we be celebrating? Robert Anderson. Okay. And Border Ballads and Cumbrian Dialect. So I think I've got this in my head. So we're celebrating Robert Anderson, not Robert Burns, for a Burns Night that isn't on Burns Night. It's part of an exhibition that features photos of poets that aren't either of them. On Border Ballads and Cumbrian Dialect. Excellent, they told me. You're getting the hang of it. So, being a bear of very little brain, I felt a bit baffled. And so I consulted with my friends, you might know them as MANs, you know, and from Speakeasy and Patchwork Opera. They're poets, writers, singers, musos, artists really, you know. And I told them as best I could what I thought the brief was. And they put in the shifts and spare time, and I love them for it, you know. And we came up with this together, yeah? That it's, because it's kind of seamless, we hope. If you want to clap at any point, please don't. but do so at the end, if that's all right, yeah? And it's called The Language We Live In, a Patchwork Ballad.
Picture the poet in pictures. The pictures the poet creates in your head. Picture the pictures in language, the language we live in, the language we lie in, the language we love in and dream in and fly in. And then in the end, that's everyone's end, the language, the life and the world that we die in. So picture the rooms that we walk through.
Stanza. Italian, noun, feminine, means a room. Stanzas. What are these rooms through which we walk, but the senses' momentary persistence in memory? What are their walls but dreams? Is the soul solid, defined by a single act, an iron spike jammed into the husks and broken glass on a dirt beach at the city's edge? Or is it as ramshackle and makeshift as the shanties tumbling across the gullies and steep hills that rise behind the torn billboards and empty banks of our shot republic? Or has it less body than a leaf, or the breeze that says, unless we die, we cannot be born? I've sleepwalked through this house, fingers pressed to the bulging, weary walls of my eyes, nudging open doors and windows with a shrugged shoulder and a smile, seeking passage through a crack of light to a place where the air no longer echoes with the fairground feral screams of children who want something, or worse, want something to stop. And in silence, on a cracked and grimy pane, amongst the first collisions of dust and rain, I have found written in a stranger's hand, Unless I have been born, I cannot die. No shelter lies within this ruined place, no endgame to comfort or make things right. For trapped in every airless stanza, and the spent breath in every lightless cell, lies the end of this broken thread, waiting for us to catch up and catch on. And only the slapdash magic with which, to spite it, we continue to connect one damn thing to another can protect us from the simple message of the storm. Because they is dead, I is born.
Picture the poet, and poets in pictures, and pictures the poets can paint in your mind. Picture each poet's dance with the language, the heartbeat that drives them, the steps that they take, the partners they dance with, and the choices they make. Picture the memories and dreams in their minds, the streets that they walk through, the people they talk to, the songs and the stories they leave behind. We all of us dance with our language, so picture those pictures the poet will make you see. Now tell me, look closely and tell me, who owns this landscape of language, and who, incidentally, are we?
We were Englished. Sound overwinters on the fells. Dialect's wool holds off snow. Diphthongs dot the outby. Walls have their syntax. In whatever language stones speak, born moss edges the scree's prattle. Wild vowels bloom sheer to the ground, sensing the beck's consonants clatter for life. Phonemes loosely cluster in seed pods, strung to their derivation. Starlings rhyme their murmuration in the reeds. Corvids, nasal talk, pox the calico sky. 2. Downstream. Downstream, grammar thrashes its processes. Follow the ditching's varied spellings to the dredged waterways. Seed to the tugging incline of a siphoned mill race. Faster, faster. The land's water tongues drive history's mill wheels. But the closer the mechanisms loom, the less our voices carry over the wet, echoing slap, lapping in the overshot cavities. The thunk and grind takes every sigh as grist to the mill. Here we are ground into words, the accent sifted, our throats scraped with diction, our quickening breaths suckered away, our names condensed from sound for a moment onto the parish record in a rippling signature of geese against the dusk. The ink recedes into the paper and the geese pass. We are Englished. On the in-by, the humble stalk in the field margins, silently gleaning the rooked field, picking the specks of big from the churned up sods. 3. The work. Downriver, famished, to the cities, from the hamlets, to the swollen slums, to the lanes, flow from the manors, to the dysenteric metropolis, from fields that ruck against the tiller, seep to the blind alleys and the sullied pools dark. Let the landed forge and fence their grounds, raise homes, raise follies, seize the deer parks equitably. Let them send to the provinces the curates and the school teachers, backwashing the learned to their origins, to sufficiency, oak bowls, and North Cumbrian dawns. At the end of it all, there is only the work. Bookish Parvenus never belong at the high table, or sit correctly, or get wise with cutlery, pass the port the right way, know the nomenclature, or have the patron's ease with waiters. There is only the work, and the work is tied to the wheel. 4. Coterie. He is amongst the better dressed of the oblivious at the Haydn recital, eyes full of publishing and ploughing the vulgar furrow. He drinks his stanzas, sitting in the confetti praise, having traded his backbone for a book spine, a necktied tramp in the salon, a death-masked dandy husk, laying out the light verse, denuded of wheels' workings. And the spittle that flecks his face has the geel of spring water, but it's yar, and it aches, and it brims with fludder. Afterwards, he leans on the generosity of his more patient friends, who syndicate the scurrilous details for other firesides. He thumbs out his anecdotes and palms them over like fat coins, and he dodders in that easy groove of blame, and shunts his embittered bones between chairs, glum from tepid sails, the hush and the cold scrape of churchyard leaves blown across the capsized gravestones. 5. Uncut pages. In their sheaths, the dialect words are valueless secrets, a forgery without currency, dry, the uncut pages, dry. Which is not to say that uncut pages cannot be sold by people who have not read them to people who do not read, whose unread libraries grind the lives they do not lead, ventriloquizing the salacious, delighting in the frisson that plebeian lust stirs. They dress up in the demotic, stomping the steps of the folk dance, swaying their crystal glasses nearly in time, sword dancing in the drawing room, wrapping their antiquarian tongues around the juggled Allans and Cumbrian and giggling in the gaslight. 5. Reappraising. On the in-by, the clean tools scrape through the cinders of a desiccated encampment song. They were here. They were here. What's left? They were here.
Picture a backbone, the spine of a story, the pattern of ballads, their rhythm and rhyme, the structure of stories, remembered, forgotten, that change with their telling each time they're told over time.
Traditional by my good friend Tony Hendry. Over the Esk at Longtown, eyes left from the 5-arch bridge, for wide waters riffling past red rocks, the heat wave gone, no bathers. Falta Trug Alaba at Marchbank, then up Liddesdale to Newcastleton, where each July, in debatable lands, people play old tunes and sing old songs. Beer must wait, first the sober church where singers compete for a question. Judges take notes below the pulpit as border ballads rise to the rafters. Wild man in Rangers football top, wasted from last night at the Grapes, plucks young Johnston from memory, sweetheart and colonel are slain again. Hoik veteran hurtles up the aisle, then turns to disinter the ploughboy, the lover who fought 9 noblemen on the Dowie Dens of Yarrow. Earnest Lancastrian in sandals changes Tamlin to snake and lion. Northumbrian lass, hands trembling, sings of a husband hewn by reavers. Only one brave singer can win. Clap the hoik man, then hit the pub, where fiddles, pipes and squeeze boxes skim tunes across the liquid afternoon. Back at the Esk at Longtown, eyes right from the 5-arch bridge, for wide waters riffling past red rocks. Here, at the height of the heat wave, in the drowse before thunderstorms, a dad and a daughter went in for a swim, and only the daughter came out. Border ballads never stop. I saw her again, he said, in a reed bed standing, in the soft mist dancing, while the wild geese fed. Don't go out tonight, he said, stay by the fire warming. Heed your daddy's warning and sleep safely in your bed. She dances tall in the willow, calls to moonbeams of yellow, wading in the shallow where the black newts play. She trails the bulrush and iris, but who dares to kiss the ghost of Sally Gray?
Horace, translated by Josiah Ralph. The snow has left the fells and fled. Their tops are green, the trees have cled. The grund with sindry flowers is sown, and to their stint the becks are born.
She's out there tonight, he said. Let's fasten tight the window. I'll play piano, you sing sweet and low. He winks to the woman smiling. Their children shake, but safe from dying in the peat black water. They will never go. She dances tall in the willow, calls to moonbeams of yellow, wading in the shallow where the black newts play. She trails the bulrush and iris, but who dares to kiss the ghost of Sally Gray? The ghost of Sally Gray.
The river has no memory. New rain brings new amnesia, the dows, the woods. Becks break bank, dry out, nearly die, swell and low. Millennia foist, rootless named on water, the boy away like alder seed. Loose vowels, dislodged by the caramel bulge of spate. But current rumbles no intent for long. It tidies its belly stones into wet cairns, and a river's wars end where they end, absorbed by the patient fields. The earth absolves the churning, fetid flood foam's sins. Mud won't hold a moulded, vengeful thought. So hold nothing in your mind and watch the river. Let it teach you the only things you need to know.
Evening guys, I'm not reading a poem, I'm just kind of giving a little background and not so much an introduction but a bit of a background where this next poem's coming from, called Firefighter, wrote by Tim Coburn. I'm a firefighter, I've been a firefighter for 14 years, and Tim was asked to write this poem for the White Watch exhibition at the old fire station last year, and Tim spent an evening with us with White Watch at Carlisle East. We put Tim in fire kit, breathing apparatus, put him in the firehouse for a little while, no smoke or heat, but it was pitch black, just to give him a feel of that aspect of the job. That aspect of the job really is very small. We call the fire and rescue service, but fire's a really, really tiny part of the job. Rescuing, training is the other part of the job, and I would say for every fire death we have to deal with, we probably deal with about 10 road deaths. I'd like to ask first, has anybody in the audience been involved in a serious collision, or any family members? No, that's cool, that's good. After Tim put the fire kit on, he came upstairs with us, sat around the mess table with us, and it kind of turned into a bit of an impromptu kind of counselling session stroke therapy session. We started talking about things we very rarely talk to each other about as firefighters. Very rarely we take it home with us. I'll kind of give you an example. It's going to get kind of dark, but this is part of the job that you guys never get to hear about, see about, or even read about. District. What that will do. I can't actually. Sorry, Tim.
Firefighter. I am the firefighter, but not the one you know. Stand by, the clocks are watching, the face I cannot show. A screaming punch, a fire, the dealer's back-turned stab. A kiss may never reach her, the angels smash and grab. Ignite the fire inside me, turn up my molten core, let rip a surge of duty, and hear my siren roar. It hurts me when I see the sickled reaper's gown. Face me with your fury, and I will face you down. Embers, cinders, silence. A broken brush, that sand, that stain, glass window shattered, her life slipped through my hand. No swagger makes a man like death can break him down. No fighter heals a wound, in sorrow lakes can't drown. Don't treat me like a hero, I'm broken to the core, crying havoc in my head, the dogs of silent war. It haunts me when I see the sickled reaper's gown. Face me with your fury, and I will face you down. I am the firefighter, but not the one for show. Stand by, the clocks are watching, the face you need to know. I'm here, and standing proud. I'm a fighter, and I'm frail. I'm here to save a life. It hurts me when I fail. Compassion screams, a punch, the dealer hits the slab. A kiss may reach her next time. The angels smash and grab. It moves me when I see the sickled reaper's gown. Face me with your fury, and I will face you down.
Life stays, I will face you, and you will face me. It was how it was then, how it is now, how it will always be. And so, our faces are maps of the roads that we travel, the lines, the slow spool of life that unravels as tragedy, comedy, both of them masks, to answer hard questions that life always asks. Face to face, back to back, toe to toe, belly to belly, the loving, lascivious dance goes on.
A plus B equals 2 times too many tipples squared, in which the two Roberts, Anderson and Burns, lose more than a few inhibitions at another Bleckle-Murray meet, by Tony Hendry. Suppose that Burns' heart holds out. Suppose Jean Armour sees him through. He doesn't croak in 1796, but reaches 1800 and twee. Hey, Robert Anderson, what is twee? Do you mean 2 or do you mean 3? Oh, what the hell, I'm not pernickety. Unleash imagination, let it roam free. The fame of this Murray Neat spreads. Burns will ride a long way for a hoolie. So it's Dumfries to Bleckle for the next one, and a Cumberland knight cackles with joy as Robert and Robert clasp hands. A plus B plus all those lads and lasses plus ale equals the alehouse mayhem of gluttonous scoffing and glugging, furious fiddling, strumming, clogging, jigging, reeling, prototype jiving, tale-telling, gargle-esque gurning, fierce volleys of competitive rhyming, then cuddling, squeezing, snogging, and even some dark corner sweaving, till as before, that should have been swiving, till as before, sleeping and snoring, the place of all their roaring. The Roberts awake in a gutter. They're on Durdale Road in Bleckle, or Blackwell to incomers like me. The alehouse became the White Ox that closed its door a while back. Tarmac and cars. Carlisle's top builder has built some fine executive homes across the way, called the Ridings, but A and B will find no horses there. They are befuddled and bewildered, so I lead them to my house nearby and pour them sympathetic whiskies as hair of the dog.
Hair of the dog. Border ballads don't ever stop. So picture these two stumbling poets, toss-pot border ramblers, existential gamblers, minds dancing to the silent geometry of the stars and the siren call of laughter from the bars.
So, forget poets, let them go. Let's picture some painters instead. Let's picture some paint and then watch it dry. Because painters paint pictures and pictures tell stories of the past, of the present, of the sweet by and by.
The sweet by and by. Once upon a time in Cumberland. He remembers now, his memory tense, bunched like a fist, how by the flower stall in the market, back in 1956, or was it yesterday, the skin of his wrist brushed her cuff, and it was enough. And how, in August, out west, they lay among the fireweed and the foxgloves in the ragged grass across the river, from where the clatter and wheeze of the steelworks trucks and the hoarse, quacked laughter of the estuary ducks rang in the air, and how she kissed him and he kissed her and he kissed her again in August out west, and how, because they were young, all the rest fell quite perfectly into place. The sunlit room adrift in space, her words on the mirror, her breath on his face, the children's voices in a dockside street, the creak of a floorboard beneath her bare feet. And he felt then, and knows now, as he stands by the flower stall in the market, today not yesterday, not 1956, that all of these things are one thing. Fist, flame, flower, hand, heat, heart, that presses moments into memories, then unfolds them in the world again.
We are all connected by a single thread that joins us to the dead and to each other. So picture the gadgie from Chad who fixed that laptop for your dad, or Mateo from Poland who married the lass from the Trough of Poland, or the posh lady from Penrith with the fancy painted nails who met hunting for a bargain in the January sales. Fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, sons, daughters, husbands, wives, in-laws, outlaws, flanners, posers, poets, painters, teachers, preachers, bag ladies, bin men, fat men, thin men,
Etc., etc. We live our lives unfettered, speak words as we find them, demotic, simple, strong.
and from the roof of the mouth to the tip of the tongue, we will always speak of struggle, and sometimes speak of love.
Sometimes what seems beautiful may be very hard to hold. I used to see her at the bus stop, shivering and cold and away. Goes against all reason and it shattered all my plans. It cut right through to the core of my heart when you let her go and live in same hands. Because the 61A took my baby away. The 61A took my baby away. I can't live on fantasy. There's a time when you gotta be real. And so pretend my frustration on a sticky carpet of the twisted wheel in the haze. Because you used to work at cafes and it did not agree with your plans. And so you left to work in the supermarket back and back, stacking shelves and working there. But now the 61A took my baby away. The 61A took my baby away. Now in my dreams I search the streets, the greasy rain slicked wet. I fly and fly round Hardwick Circus. I haven't found you yet. I keep searching. I keep hoping. Oh, be still, my fluttering heart. Because the number 62 will bring me back to you. 61A. Took my baby away, the 61A took my baby.
Picture a face, not half a day dead, a face from which all feeling has fled. Picture warm wax poured over cold eyes. Picture its kiss on cold lips where he lies. What sights met his sight, what breath met his breath in his brief span of days between birth and death. Picture the poet, we haven't finished yet. Picture the poet as his death mask starts to set.
Plain song, plain speech, no easy ride for a working man, weaving the everyday into ordinary magic. Celebrating the dance with a kiss, with a life, and Robert Anderson has entered the silence. Isn't it strange how people go on? Common laws, a common tongue, and hinted mystery across the working land. A glass of beer, a penny loaf, a hedgerow hold, and Robert Anderson has entered the silence. How pleasing, but strange that the drinking goes on. So here's to Rabbi, to Bobby, to Billy, to Lucy, to Sarah, to Sally, and an open, welcoming hand to all those who walk the old paths and the bridle ways, and who see the fells though the market fair is gone. Robert Anderson has entered the silence. But isn't it strange how the stories go on?
In a glass case, the mask of his face lies sphinx riddle silent beside Jimmy Dyer's flute. One more border story for our border crack and boot. Did he know that what seems beautiful can be very hard to hold? Robert Anderson has entered the silence. How will his stories be told?
Walked all over London Road, Forest Hill and Malley Close, Scoppy and Cumbrian in the rain. Hazeldean Meadowview, all the time passing through and never stopping once to feel the pain. I travelled every road that you've been on. I've travelled every road that you have gone. Blackpool Road, Jubilee, Hammond's Pond, the boundary, cars go by, children stand and wait. I'll leave behind me 5 lanes then, and I'll walk right through the citadel, always feeling I've arrived too late. I've travelled every road that you've been on. I've travelled every road that you have gone. My boots spark echoes down Greystone Road like a ghost. They fade like footsteps when the town is closed. When the town is closed. Denton home long Selby, I walk through the cemetery and carved names call out blindly as I walk by. Morton, Bellevue, Etterby, the Eden flows eternally, only herons know the reason why.
Scrape through the cinders for the remnants of the encampment song. He was here, they were here, we were here. What is left? We were here. Thank you.
There's nothing to say after that, is there, really? That was absolutely fantastic. It was really, yeah, very moving. Yeah, I'm not